In the final years of World War II, as Allied armies advanced across Europe, a small group of American soldiers fought a war unlike any other. They carried no heavy weapons. They had no tanks, at least not real ones. Their mission was to deceive. Using inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, and Hollywood sound effects, they convinced entire German divisions that vast Allied forces were massing nearby, when in reality there were none. They were painters, set designers, engineers, and sound technicians. They called themselves the Ghost Army. For decades, their work remained classified. Now their story can finally be told. By 1944, the Allies faced a strategic dilemma. Every successful invasion, from North Africa to Normandy, depended on surprise. But as Allied troops pushed deeper into Europe, German reconnaissance grew sharper. Every movement risked exposure. The U.S. Army needed a way to mask troop positions, to make a small force look like a large one, and a real army disappear entirely. The solution came from an unexpected place, the world of art and illusion. In January 1944, the U.S. Army formed a top-secret unit, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Their mission, to use creative deception to mislead the enemy about Allied strength and movement. Their commander was Colonel Harry Reeder. The unit was made up of around 100 men, drawn from the Army Corps of Engineers, the Signal Corps, and even art schools like Yale and Pratt Institute. Among them were future legends: fashion designer Bill Blass, artist Ellsworth Kelly, and painter Art Kane. Their job wasn't to fight, it was to pretend to fight. The Ghost Army had no standard weapons. Instead, they wielded three extraordinary tools: visual deception, inflatable tanks, jeeps, artillery, and aircraft, built from rubberized canvas. From the air, they looked indistinguishable from the real thing. Crews would inflate hundreds overnight using air compressors. Sonic deception. Engineers recorded authentic battlefield sounds, tanks moving, troops marching, trucks idling, and played them through massive speakers mounted on half-tracks. The sound could be heard up to 15 miles away. Radio deception. Special Signal Corps operators, trained in spoof radio, mimicked real Allied communications to trick German intelligence. Every pause, every static burst, every call sign was rehearsed. Together, these tricks could make 1,000 men appear like an entire Army division. The Ghost Army's first major test came shortly after D-Day in Normandy, summer 1944. As Allied troops advanced inland, the 23rd was sent to stage a diversion near the town of St. Lo. They created a fake headquarters, complete with radio chatter, jeep convoys, and inflated Sherman tanks. German reconnaissance planes flew overhead, and the deception worked. The Luftwaffe bombed empty fields while the real 2nd Armored Division moved elsewhere undetected. It was the beginning of a string of successful illusions that would save thousands of lives. Through the fall of 1944, the Ghost Army moved with the advancing front. Their missions were codenamed Operations Elephant, Brest, Brittany, and Rhineland. Each time they built fake camps, roads, and supply depots. From a distance, everything looked authentic: soldiers doing laundry, smoke from mess tents, vehicles idling. But up close, everything was made of air and paint. The soldiers even painted fake shadows under their rubber tanks to make them look heavier. They became masters of illusion. At night, sound engineers broadcast the rumble of troop movements through loudspeakers, while radio teams created the chatter of battalion commanders. To the Germans, it seemed like entire Allied divisions were appearing out of nowhere. Their greatest performance came in March 1945, during the Allied push toward the Rhine River, the operation known as Viersen. The mission? Convince the Germans that a major crossing would happen north of the real one. The Ghost Army set up an elaborate stage. They inflated over 300 dummy vehicles, constructed fake pontoon bridges, and filled the airwaves with false communications from the 30th Infantry Division. At night, they used light projectors to simulate troop movements and bridge-building operations. German scouts took the bait. The deception drew enemy fire and diverted forces away from the actual crossing points. The real U.S. Ninth Army crossed the Rhine almost unopposed. Historians later estimated that Operation Viersen alone saved between 10,000 and 30,000 lives. For the men of the Ghost Army, every mission carried risk. If captured, they would be executed as spies, not soldiers. Their secrecy was absolute. Even their families back home were told they were camouflage technicians. They slept under rubber tanks, ate beside fake campfires, and carried pistols instead of rifles. One soldier wrote in his journal, "Our weapons are imagination, our bullets are illusions." They were artists at war, fighting not with destruction, but deception. When Germany finally surrendered in May 1945, the Ghost Army had conducted over 20 deception missions across France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Germany. Their tactics confused German intelligence until the very end. And yet, their work remained classified for more than 40 years. Only in the 1990s did the U.S. government declassify the files. Veterans, many in their 70s, could finally tell their families what they had done. In 2013, the U.S. Congress honored the Ghost Army with a special commendation. In 2022, they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the highest civilian honors in America. The Ghost Army's legacy lives on. Their techniques inspired Cold War deception strategies, and modern military psyops still use their principles. But beyond tactics, their story is about creativity under fire, about how art and intelligence became weapons of survival. One veteran, Sergeant Arthur Shillstone, later said, "We weren't killing people, we were saving lives by fooling them." For decades, the Ghost Army remained invisible, their courage buried under secrecy. But their art of illusion turned the tide of battles, saved lives, and proved that sometimes the greatest weapons in war aren't guns, but imagination.